Do you ever feel like you're not good enough? Like you don't deserve success, happiness, or recognition? Sometimes, these feelings aren't just emotions. They're signs that you might be undervaluing yourself. The problem is, most of us don't even realize we're doing it. That's why today, we're going to explore 15 signs that show you might be undervaluing yourself without knowing it, all through the lens of Stoicism. By the end of this, you might see yourself in a new light. Let's start with a question. How often do you apologize? If you find yourself saying, "I'm sorry for the smallest things," it could mean you don't value your own presence enough. Stoicism teaches us to accept what we cannot control and focus on what we can. Over-apologizing takes power away from you. Instead of saying sorry for existing, ask yourself, was an apology really needed? Do you compare yourself to others? It's easy to feel like you're not doing enough when you scroll through social media or hear about someone else's achievements. But Stoicism reminds us that comparison is a thief of joy. You're on your own path. No one else's success takes away from your worth. What if you focused on your growth instead of theirs? Another sign is if you avoid asking for help. Do you ever think, "I don't want to bother anyone," or "I should handle this on my own"? This mindset often comes from undervaluing your needs. Asking for help isn't a weakness. It's a strength. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, often relied on the advice of others. If he could, why can't you? Here's a big one. Do you say yes to things you don't want to do? Maybe you feel like you can't say no because you'll disappoint someone. But every time you say yes to something you don't want, you're saying no to yourself. Epictetus reminds us that we control our choices. You have the right to prioritize your time and energy. Do you downplay your achievements? Imagine someone compliments your work, and instead of saying thank you, you brush it off with, "Oh, it was nothing." Why do we do this? Stoicism teaches us to accept reality as it is. If you did something great, own it. Downplaying your efforts diminishes your value, even to yourself. What about self-criticism? Are you your own worst enemy? If you constantly criticize yourself, you're reinforcing the idea that you're not good enough. Stoicism emphasizes self-awareness and self-improvement, but not at the cost of self-kindness. What if you spoke to yourself like a friend instead of a critic? Let's talk about perfectionism. Do you avoid starting something because you're afraid it won't be perfect? This is another way we undervalue ourselves. Perfectionism often hides the fear of failure. But according to Stoicism, failure is part of life and growth. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to try. Do you avoid taking risks? Maybe you've turned down opportunities because you didn't feel ready. But here's the thing. No one feels ready all the time. Stoicism teaches us to face challenges head-on. Waiting for the perfect moment often means waiting forever. What risk could you take today that might change your life? Do you let others take credit for your ideas? This can happen at work or even in personal relationships. Maybe you don't speak up because you think it's not worth the fight. But every time this happens, you reinforce the idea that your voice doesn't matter. Remember, you deserve to be heard. Are you afraid of setting boundaries? If you constantly put others' needs above your own, you're undervaluing your well-being. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. As Stoics, we aim to live in harmony with others, but not at the cost of losing ourselves. Here's a tough one. Do you stay in toxic relationships? Whether it's with friends, family, or a partner, staying in unhealthy dynamics often comes from undervaluing yourself. Stoicism teaches us to let go of what doesn't serve us. What if you chose relationships that uplifted you instead? Do you struggle to accept compliments? If someone tells you they admire your work or think you look great, do you feel awkward or dismissive? This might be because you don't see yourself the way others do. Accepting a compliment doesn't make you arrogant. It acknowledges your value. Do you fear being alone? Sometimes, people undervalue themselves by staying busy or surrounding themselves with others just to avoid their own company. But Stoicism celebrates solitude as a time for reflection and growth. What if being alone wasn't something to fear, but a gift to embrace? Finally, do you settle for less? Whether it's in your career, relationships, or personal goals, settling often comes from thinking you don't deserve better. Stoicism teaches us to strive for virtue and excellence. You are capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. Now, let's take a moment to reflect. Did any of these signs resonate with you? If they did, that's okay. The first step to valuing yourself more is recognizing where you've been holding yourself back. Stoicism offers us tools to grow, not by beating ourselves up, but by accepting what is and striving for what could be. Imagine what your life would look like if you started valuing yourself the way you deserve. What opportunities would you take? What relationships would you nurture? What dreams would you chase? If this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We explore topics that help you grow, not just as a Stoic, but as a human being. Leave a comment and let us know which sign hit home for you. Remember, your value isn't determined by others. It's determined by how you see yourself.